Welcome back to Make It Mondays, and this week I'm starting a new blanket for Project Linus. And as kind of always with this, I'm working with donated yarn. This time I'm working with these little tiny skeins of yarn in 24 colors that are blue, gray, or green, and varying tones of each of those. So I've already started the blanket. So I'm doing 4 different washcloth patterns put together. I will include links to the page where I got them off of. They are free patterns down below. So I'm doing a clam, a lighthouse, another seashell, and a sailboat. So I'm going to get everything flipped around and show you how I connect the next ball of yarn. So here's the previous square that I worked and the next yarn. And I'm actually going to hold the new yarn to the back. I'm going to slip the first stitch, and then I'm going to purl all the way across. So a lot of times people will just connect in patterns. So this pattern for the border is the seed stitch. So knit 1, purl 1 all the way across, and then do the opposite on the way back. But I don't like how color changes look from the front on a purl because they look like that. So I've done it this way so the colors don't do that. So it's a nice clean color change. And it only adds 1 row to the pattern. So it adds 1 row of height, but again, it makes things look a lot cleaner. And these squares are a little short for my blanket anyway, so adding 1 more row isn't the worst thing. This blanket will be 24 squares or 24 washcloths combined. 1 in each of the 24 colors. These little mini skeins all came in 2 copies of the same sampler bags. And I was just the person that they thought of when the question came of who can make something out of this. Okay, so I've gone all the way across. I am still knitting this last stitch so that the edge stays the same slip stitch along the edge. Okay, I'm going to work back. I'm going to have to read my stitches a little bit. So I've got a purl there and a purl there. So that actually means this first stitch is going to be a knit and then a purl to match the pattern as much as possible while still having it where the color change is nice and pretty. So I'm going to be back a bit later. I'm not going to show much of how to work these washcloths because again, they're not my patterns, but the instructions on their website are pretty clear and easy to follow. And it's charted and written out for depending on which one is easier for you. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to finish off this square and 1 more, and then I'll show you how the next row of blocks is connected. So the first row of blocks is all done, or column, I guess, since it's bottom to top. So again, I've got a shell, a lighthouse, the other kind of shell, sailboat, first shell, and another lighthouse. So now it's time for me to add to this. I do leave the row stitch markers in place just because that way I can move them over to the next column as I go and as I need them. Took out the first 4 to put them on the cast on for the next one. So I have casted on 44 stitches, so 1 short of the number that I need. I'm going to get the rest of this out of the way. And then I'm holding it with the cast on in the same direction as the piece that I'm joining. I'm going to insert through the back of the piece that I'm joining to and pick up a loop. And then I'm going to work back across, looking at where I am in the pattern for this and matching pattern. It is not going to be completely seamless from the front, but it will be as seamless as I can make it. And at this point, I'm just going to be working the blocks as normal until I get back to that edge. Once I am back to this edge, it will be pulling up the loop and then pulling this loop, so my first one over it, to continue that seam up the side. I'll show you how that works probably quite a ways down this project. So I will be back in a bit to show that last little bit about how this works up, and be right back. So here I am at the second to last square, finally remembering to record this. So I've worked most of the way across. I've got 3 stitches left. I'm going to continue with the seed stitch. I'm going to slip this last stitch onto the right hand needle, go into or behind the slipped stitch on the square to my left, so it's on the right on the front side, from the right side. Pick up a stitch and then slip through the one I'd slipped onto the right hand needle, and then turn the whole thing around and work back. And I'll be back in just a minute to show you how this whole thing ended up. So here's the finished blanket. So we have seashells and sailboats. That's the same seashell. Lighthouse, clamshells, and the sailboats are around here somewhere. So it was 6 of each with 24 unique colors that all work together. If you made it this far in the video, please consider hitting like, possibly even subscribing if you want to see more. And I will see you in 2 weeks for another Make It Monday. Bye.